Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm your host, Noslen, and this is the Sunday edition. We've got a special guest. His name is Plex, one of the hottest lyricists in the game right now. He's on Sunday edition. What's up, Plex? How you doing?
What up, man? I'm good. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, super cool, man. I'm really glad you got a chance to come on the show. I've got a lot to talk about, so let's go ahead and jump into this interview. Now, the main thing I like to ask everybody is really simple. Tell us a little bit about where you grew up and the road that kind of got you here.
All right, I grew up in a place called Reston, Virginia. It's like Northern Virginia, like about 20 minutes outside Washington, D.C. And I grew up there until I was about 18, so I finished high school, and then I moved to Atlanta. But while I was still in VA, me and my crew, we started like freestyling and going to parties, and we would rap over instrumentals and just have fun with it, not really recording anything or writing anything, just having fun with it. And you know, when I hit hard, like I went through some hard times. I'm not going to get too deep into it. I mean, we could talk about that later, but I kind of got into some hard times towards the end of high school where I was going through a lot of things with my family and also with school, and I was going through some struggles. And what I realized is that after I had quit playing organized sports and stuff that kind of kept me occupied, I had nothing but idle time, and I was getting into trouble. And then when I started writing music, it kind of kept me focused and kept me out of trouble. So that's when I really got into music. And I kind of turned my life around, you know, through the help of a lot of other people as well. But the music was kind of the baseline, the one thing that was steady. And like I said, after I graduated high school, I moved down to Atlanta to go to college. I went to Morehouse College. And when I was in college, I got deeper into writing and deeper into concepts and in music. And that's what kind of got me where, you know, I am. It's just those days, just kind of going through stuff and learning and writing and recording. And it's just something I love to do. But like I said, the main thing was it kept me out of trouble. And it's kind of like therapeutic, you know, it's how I got my thoughts out.
Man, that sounds really positive. It sounds like, you know, you had a good head on your shoulders. You finished up school. You worked on your degree. Yeah. You know, you did the hip hop on the side. It was kind of like like you said, your meditative, you know, state. It's what gave you the therapy to keep you moving. You know what I mean? And that's super cool. You know what I mean? I think that's
no, thank you.
Yeah, man. It's really admirable. You know, considering that, you know, you've done that much. You know, a lot of rap artists. You know, I mean, it's sorry to say, but a lot of them don't finish school. And, you know, that's why I think sometimes making, you know, business decisions without having the proper schooling, you know, is a big deal. So, you know, if you're going to do it, I guess the most positive thing to take from this is definitely finish school.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think this school helped shape me. You know, I use some of the things I learned in literature and school and stuff like that in my rhymes and in understanding my life and the things around us, because history repeats itself. So a lot of things I learned, you know, I'm a history buff. I loved all my history classes growing up. So a lot of things I learned through that. Then also, you know, like I said, literature and reading books and stuff, like it really helps develop your craft, you know. And you know, there's a lot of music out there that people are just trying to do the bare minimum to get paid. But for me, music was never like the dream to get paid. I never started writing or rapping because I wanted to be famous or rich. It was more just, like I said, it was like an outlet of expression, you know, to get my thoughts out and to keep myself sane. And, you know, when you're going through those teenage years and early 20s and you kind of don't know who you are, you're trying to find yourself, music was that one thing to kind of be the light in the darkness for me, kind of carry me through the different paths of the journey, you know what I'm saying?
Definitely. So what actually inspired you to, you know, become an artist?
Well, when I was growing up, you know, like I said, I didn't really look at music as a way to get paid. I looked at it more as something that just, you know, I loved hip-hop. I was a hip-hop head. Like, I grew up, you know, I was listening to Tribe, De La Soul, Wu-Tang, Nas, Biggie, you know, a lot of up north stuff. That was kind of the stuff. I liked Outkast.
All my favorites, man. All my favorites.
Yeah. Nah, a lot of that classic stuff, man, from the early 90s and mid-90s. And we used to listen to it and, you know, go out and have fun. And like I said, we would get instrumentals back when they used to do the CD singles or the cassette singles in the stores, Tower Records or whatever. We'd go up there and get the singles and go back to the crib and put it on like a karaoke machine and, you know, try to rap over it and freestyle. And just how fun that was. I could do it for hours. Like, we could get, you know, we start recording, me and my boy Face, like around 8, 9 o'clock at night, and then next thing you know, it's 3 in the morning, and we still doing it. I'm just loving it. Like, I don't care who's listening, what, you know, what we're gonna do with it. It wasn't about, okay, let's get this and go get this money. It was more like, yo, I just love what we're doing right now. So that's what really inspired me to become an artist, was because I found out that it was something I was passionate about, something I really loved, you know, just the whole process of doing it, you know.
Definitely, man. That sounds like a really pure experience, you know, from the beginning to end. You know what I mean? You did it with some friends. You guys were focused on creating something amazing. I mean, I've heard some of your tracks. I'm not gonna lie. I've had a few there. I've seen you on Twitter. That's how I actually, you know, kind of got a chance to check it all out. A big shout out to Q the Question, man, for putting me on to you. I really like what you're doing, man.
Shout out to Q, man. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but shout out to Q and SKE Records, man. Them dudes are doing big things, man. Great people.
Yeah, man, definitely, man. That's actually my label, SKE Records. I'm the A&R there, and man, I love it, man. It's the greatest experience I think in my life. I actually got that job through Twitter, so if you guys want to network, I think you should jump on Twitter. That's all I'm saying.
Word up. That's real.
Yeah, so let's keep this thing moving. So, what do you think sets you apart from all the other artists that are out in the game right now?
I think that what sets me apart is that I just, compared to a lot of the artists that I've come across, is I really just do it for the love. Like, I feel like there's a purpose that kind of God put inside me, and this was the outlet of expression. He knew that he was teaching me lessons along the way and things that I could share to help other people, and this is the form that, you know, this is the language that he learned he could speak to me through hip-hop, because hip-hop was the language I understood. So I felt like, you know, that's kind of like the difference is like it's purpose driven. It's not like I'm out here just trying to be rich. Like, again, and I hate to keep going back to that, but that's really just like, if you kind of hang with me or talk to any of my boys or really listen to my albums, like, you'll see that it's like really just about, it's really purpose driven music. It's not really about, you know, materialism. It's not about any of those other things that people get caught up in. So I think that's one thing that kind of sets me apart from a lot of artists. I'm not saying there's no artists that are like me, but I think that's one thing that kind of sets me apart, is that part of it as well. And then the other thing I would say is I have a real diverse experience and background. You know, I grew up in an upper middle class suburb. You know, my parents weren't broke. You know, I wasn't in the hood, you know, but I went through some hard times where my parents kind of lost everything. And we did end up in a space where I had to go through some things that most people who grew up where I didn't have to go through. So I kind of have both sides of the experience. You know, I've gone to a prestigious college, but I've also, you know, had to sleep on the floor with no heat and the water getting turned off. You know, so I kind of have a diverse experience that I think I'm able to share and relate to a lot of people on a broad range of topics, you know.
Man, most definitely. I remember when we first got here to the States, you know what I'm saying? We were fresh from Spain, man. I mean, my parents left Cuba. They took me with them, you know what I'm saying? Went to Spain, left Spain, came all the way to New York. Got some green cards, man, so we could stay, you know what I'm saying? Be residents. Yeah. And then we went to Chicago. That's where I'm from. And we started off there, and then we came to Florida, man. And man, I remember when we first got to Florida and we were living in Tampa, dude, it was rough, man. We lived in this neighborhood called Drew Park, and man, we lived in an apartment that was probably the size of like an efficiency, man. And we were all in there, all four of us, me, my sister, my mom, and my dad. And you know, so I'm feeling you, man. You know, sometimes, you know, you go through struggles in life, and you gotta just, you know, make it no matter what, you know, keep that, you know, never give up attitude. And from what I can tell, and, you know, from what I've gathered so far from our conversation, is that you've had that will to keep going from the beginning. And yeah,
the perseverance is important, man. It's so important.
Most definitely. So that's a really good segue to start talking about one of your albums. And this is one that I actually got a chance to listen to. It's called My Purpose, Volume 1, Smiles and Cries. Now, there's a couple songs that I wanted to talk to you about specifically. Now, the first one that really kind of touched me was Survive and Sustain. Let's talk about that one a little bit.
You know, it's so funny, man, that you picked that song, because that's my first album. I think we released it in 2007. Most of the recording was done in like 2005 and 2006. And that was my first album. It was completely produced by my boy Charlie P. Shout out to Charlie P. But that song is so funny. It's one that nobody ever picks out, but it's my favorite song on that album. So it's kind of funny that you picked that song out to talk about.
Man, I tell you, I love it. I love it, man. Let's talk about it.
Thank you. Now, that's one of my favorite songs I've ever done. Like, I was living in LA at the time, and I just kind of got out there, and I was kind of going out there because at the time I was trying to get a job on the corporate side in the music business to be able to still work in music and make my music the way I want to, but be able to make enough money to sustain to sustain a lifestyle, So I had gone out to LA and I was out there, and Charlie P sent me that beat one night, man, and I heard it, and it just, to me, it just said like triumph, like it just overcoming, like it was dark, but at the same time it was like it had these sounds and the keys. It was just like coming out of something. Like I think he either reversed the guitar sound, I think, on that, and he took it and reversed it, and it kind of has this inverted weird sound that he did. And it just spoke to me, man. And that song really, it wrote itself really fast. I'll never forget, like when I wrote it, I was kind of sick, and I had a really bad cold. I think it was around Christmas time, and just going through some personal stuff, and wasn't very happy at the time. But it was just like that song, when I wrote it, it made me feel stronger. Like I can overcome whatever I'm going through, and it's always been that for me since then. Since we recorded it and finished it, like for the last 7 years, I've been able to always go back to that song when I'm in a dark place or going through something, and it just makes me feel like I can overcome things and continue to survive and sustain. And, regardless of how hard it gets, you got to push through. You just can't quit.
Man, most definitely, and that's really why I really love the song, man. It shows that no matter what, like you said before, perseverance, making it to that level, man. Keep pushing yourself, no matter what.
Definitely not. Because I mean, like really, like when I first started rhyming and like taking it serious and writing songs, like it was me and my partner Face. We grew up in Virginia together, and like where we grew up, Face was like the dopest MC from our area. Like everybody knew Face as being a rapper. Nobody really knew me for that, but when they started finding out I did it and I freestyled at parties and stuff, they thought, oh, he's kind of dope. But when I started making songs and writing and recording, and I'm recording next to Face, you hear me on the song, and my verse comes after Face's verse, and Cass was kind of like, Dad, you need to take Plex verse off the song. Like that needs to just be a Face song. Like I wasn't getting a lot of support from the cats that were my team, the people that I thought loved me. Like they was like, nah, they really didn't support my music that much. So that was one of those things that goes into that song. Is like so many people over the years told me like, yo, why don't you just be on the business side? Why don't you stop rapping? And just I kept pushing through, and the next thing I know, people started hearing it and really appreciate my music. People that I never knew, and like the music took on a life of its own. So that song is really important to me. Like it's really a very personal record.
Man, that's freaking awesome, man. See, those are the kind of things that to me, blow my mind. It's the story behind the song, what it meant to you, what you want it to mean to somebody who actually listens to it. And for me, I think I got the big picture, which was, to never give up, man. You can make it. You know what I mean? And I really love that. So let's talk about another album here. Now, this one is from 2014. I picked the most recent one. This one's Smiles and Cries Part 2. Now, this is the reason why I also picked the very first album, because that's what it was about then. You know what I mean? So, tell us a little bit about why you picked to call it Smiles and Cries Part 2.
Great question, man. Well, the album before Smiles and Cries 2, we released in 2010, and I didn't make any. And let me tell you about it. Smiles and Cries 1 was released in 2007, and every year after that, 2008, 2009, 2010, I released an album every year. After 2010, I got married. I met my wife, and we got married in 2011. We had a kid in 2012. Those 3 years, I guess 2011, 2012, and 2013, I didn't put out any albums. So it was like, and I kind of looked up one day and was like, man, my music's gone. It's like it's missing. Like I wasn't really focused. I wasn't working on it. I would do a song here or there, but we weren't building anything. So me and Charlie P, who he completely produced the first album, Smiles and Cries 1, we got back together at the beginning of 2013 and just started recording again. And it just felt good. Like it felt like when we first started recording Smiles and Cries 1, when it was like we didn't have a direction, we didn't have a concept, we didn't have an idea. We just used to go sit in the studio together for a couple hours, and we come out with great songs because we just had this natural chemistry between us musically, but also outside the music. Like we kind of are kindred spirits, where like we kind of are two different sides of the same situation. So it's like it was this natural bond. So as we started working on these songs in 2013, we just doing songs. We're not planning to drop an album. We're not planning any type of promotion or anything. We're just doing songs. And then one day we looked up, I think it was around June or so of 2013, it was like, dang, man, we got like 7, 8 songs, and they all kind of fit the same vibe and the same concept. And we like, this reminds us of how Smiles and Cries 1 came together. And we was like, well, we need to do a Smiles and Cries 2. Like, this is it. We're back at that moment that we were at like 6, 7 years ago, and we need to revisit it. And we need to do an album completely produced by Charlie P, completely all the rhymes by Plex, very minimal feature appearances, maybe just 1 or 2, 3 guest appearances, and go right back to the heart. Like, because when we made Smiles and Cries 1 and when we made Smiles and Cries 2, we weren't trying to impress anybody. We weren't trying to make the music that we thought people wanted to hear. We were just making what we felt. Versus some of my other albums, I would reach out and try to like, oh, let me write this song because I think people would like this type of song, or people would like this type of idea or this type of beat. But Smiles and Cries 1 and 2, it wasn't like that. It was just that natural flow of like, okay, let's just get in the studio and have some fun and see what comes out. And so that's why we named it that, because it was like, it took it back to that original place where we started.
There you go. So it's like you went back to your roots. You went back into the lab. You put that chemistry together, and then bam. You got Smiles and Cries Part 2, man. There you go. Oh, I love it, man. I love it. I mean, I've actually haven't had a chance to listen to the whole album. I've gone on iTunes. I've checked it out, at least to kind of get some background, and just kind of give my opinion. I mean, for me, it definitely shows your growth from when you started in 2007 to where you're at right now. You see this really big transition in your style a little bit too. It's like it's almost more commanding in this album than it was before. If you get what I'm saying, it's like almost like,
I definitely get what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're like, yeah, this is where I'm at now. Here, let me tell you my story now. You know what I mean? And that's what it made me feel like. It's like, man, it's like, back then I'm like hearing what was going on at that time, and then you're kind of moving back and you're doing changes and a couple different things that, kind of made me think about the growth of what an artist goes through and all the different, songs that he'll put out, and just seeing that and kind of getting a taste of it today is like, man, it's amazing. This is why I do it. You know what I'm saying? This is why I do my show, for that feeling right there of knowing that I get to watch, amazing artists, including yourself, man.
Thank you.
That are just, killing it in the game. You would just never know unless you looked. And that's just a cool thing, man. So I'm so glad that I've gotten to network so much and be able to get through, so many artists. Because, I mean, I've had tons of people on here, you know what I mean? Just tons of amazing people. And, out of all of them, I try and find something unique about them because, every artist is its own person and they do things, their own way. And one of the things, at least about you, that I've liked the most in this time that we've been talking is that, it's like through the whole thing, you're just like the super humble dude, man. You're like, look, I got all these albums. I've done all this stuff, man. I decided to get married. I got, a home life. I got this going on. You know what I'm saying? I was like, man, I'm out of the game. I got back in it. I've done all this stuff. And I mean, it's like, you still have that passion. I can hear it in your voice, man. It's like you never let go of that. It's like the one thing that you remember and what made you happy and why you stuck to doing hip hop was that fire inside of you, man.
You're right. And I appreciate you for having this platform for artists like myself to come out and really explain what else is going on behind the music and what went into the music. Because sometimes if you just get a 3-minute song, you might not totally understand where that person was at or what type of person they are. And so us having this conversation can kind of give people another view of what's going on with me and who I am as an artist and things. And yeah, I appreciate that, man. Like you said, you got it, man. The hunger, the passion is still there. And it's like you said, the growth, it's redefined. Like when I did Smiles and Cries 1, like I said, that was like 2005 and 2006 when it was recorded. So I was still trying to find myself. I had just moved out to LA. I was in this new place. I was trying to figure out who am I, what am I doing, where am I going, and what's going on. So there was a lot of like kind of just like searching versus to Smiles and Cries 2. It's like, no, I know who I am. This is what I do. This is what I want. This is what I don't like. And this is how it goes. It's more commanding. So it's dope that you actually were able to listen to that and pick that up because that's true. That's actually what went on in my life. Man, that's pretty cool. Well, all right. So my intuition works. Thank God. Yeah. You're on it, man. Like, It's so funny because people have listened to my music for years, and it's like sometimes they give you their critique or their understanding of what was going on, and it's just totally off from where you were. Not saying that it's wrong, because it's in the eye of the beholder. It's art, so they can see what they want to see.
Most definitely.
But it's not what I was seeing. But everything you said since we started talking has been dead on with what was going on and where I was at, and what I'm trying to. You're understanding what I'm trying to say. Pretty much,
for sure, man. I get the message. I like what you're doing with it. Like I said, your songs, man, dude, if you don't mind, I'd love to play them on the station. I wanted to bring that up, I guess, at some point, man. So if you get some time and you want to get me some tracks, or man, hell, I'll buy a couple if I have to. It's no big deal, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't mind helping you, man.
I appreciate it, but I really and I swear with this, man, I mean it so honestly. I don't do it for the music. For the money. The main reason I put it on iTunes is so, God forbid, something happens to me and I'm not able to be around to show people my music. If something were to happen to me and I'm gone, there's a place that is a centrally located place that everybody knows about where they can still go find it. If you go to iTunes and type in Plex Long, you're going to find my music, versus if it wasn't there and I only had hard copies of it, it could get lost. Things go away, people lose stuff. And so I wanted to do that, because what ended up happening is people started discovering my music on Pandora, and they started driving them to YouTube from hearing it on Pandora. They would go to YouTube and look for it. And so it's like when I saw people were looking for it, I was like, okay, well, at least we have it in one central location where they can get it at iTunes. But at the end of the day, I don't do it for that. So the fact that you're supporting and that you're interested in the music, I'll send you all 5 albums. I'll send you some free download links after we talk. So
man, that's amazing, dude. Wow. I am truly honored. I mean, that is just an amazing thing, dude. Here you go. Right here on Sunday Edition. I'm more than humbled by this, man. Check it out. I get an artist on here, and he's this gracious with me. So thank you, Plex Long, man. That's amazing, bro. I really appreciate that, man. So
it's all love. It's like what you said about networking and social networking and things of that nature. It's like we got to network with each other. We got to support each other. You know what I'm saying? It can't always be about dollar for dollar. You know what I'm saying? That's how I met Q the Question. That's how me and him started working on stuff, is we favor for a favor, homeboy for a homeboy. We all support each other. That's what it's about.
Man, that is super cool. And that's the way it always should be, man. There should be a camaraderie across the board. There should always be unity across, all links. You know what I mean? So
definitely.
Yeah, man. So here's my thing. I want to know, and this is what the listeners, they always send in to me, man. They always want to know this, and this is the one question that I always pick, which is, if you had your choice, who'd be the first famous person you'd actually want to collaborate with?
Ooh, that's a good one. For me, it would be Nas. I'm just a big Nas fan, and I actually had a chance to meet him once, but we never worked on music together. I was so just in awe of the fact I got a chance to meet him. I turned into a fan, and I never really get starstruck. I've met a lot of famous people in my life, and I just, because my dad growing up, he was in a powerful position, so I got to meet a lot of people when I was young. But when I met him, I was like, dude, I've been listening to you since 93, 94, memorizing all your lines. So, and I just think the way he delivers images and thoughts in rhyme form, I would definitely want to do something with Nas if I had a chance to do something with somebody famous. That'd be the first.
Man, one of the greatest. I'll say that. Queensbridge, man, killing it always. Just an amazing artist, man, coming out of Queens. I mean, I always liked, all his music. I mean, I listened to him since Illmatic, you know what I mean? I was a jit, man. That's what I grew up to, you know what I'm saying? I'm an 80s baby. I grew up in the 80s, grew up in the 90s, man. That's what I listened to, you know what I'm saying? That Mobb Deep, Nas, freaking, I used to rock EPMD, DOS Effects. I mean, you name it. If they were on the East Coast and they were probably from New York, I was probably listening to it. Now, don't get me wrong. There was a lot of music here in Florida as well, man. But it was all that booty bounce, you know what I'm saying? Some Luke, you know what I'm saying? 2 Live Crew, stuff like that. I mean, and that was cool. And I like that, man, for the club. But, when I'm in my whip, and I want to listen to some just raw lyrics, man. Some hip hop.
Yeah, something you think, right?
Yeah, man. Some dope beats in the background where I can just relax, man, and it'll just take me to my next journey. You know what I'm saying? So let's get a few more questions in here. So this is another one that they like to ask me as well. Now they said, how long have you been a rap artist? Now, if everyone was listening today, he said he started in 2005. So from 2005 to 2014, I would count that as 9 years so far, and maybe before that. So let's talk about that a little.
Yeah, actually, it's definitely before that. I really first started writing in notebooks and really started keeping my rhymes back in like 96, 97. That's when I really started actually writing. Now, we didn't really start getting in the studio until about 98. And then I didn't really feel like I was ready to put out a solo project till 2005, 2006, and that's when Smiles and Cries 1 came together. We put it out in 2007. But I was rhyming, and, even performing and going to studios, going all the way back to the late 90s. I first started writing and recording when I was probably about 16, 17 years old. I was born in 1980. So 96, when I was in high school, I would say 11th grade is when I really started and say I was freestyling before that. And if you really want to take it to when I first started, the first time I wrote a rhyme was actually in 6th grade. I was in a Just Say No rap group, and we performed at the local fair or whatever. And that was if you really would say the first time I started rhyming, that was 6th grade. I was probably 12, so it's 92, 93, something like that. Was probably the first time I really rhymed and wrote a rhyme on my own. I mean, it's probably only 6, 8 bar verse, and we never recorded it. We only performed it at the local fair or whatever. But when I really started getting serious, keeping a composition book, getting on my mom's nerves. Why are you playing that loud music? Why are you always keeping these composition books? What are you writing about? That was probably 96, 97, I'd say.
Wow, man, check that out, dude. I was graduating high school in 97, man.
Oh, okay.
So imagine that. You see what I'm saying?
But I actually didn't finish till 99. Like I said, I went through some issues in high school. It took me 5 years to get out.
Oh man, it's all good, man. You made it though. You made it. It was an achievement at the end, no matter what. But yeah, man, high school was crazy. I remember it was the end of a big era of the 90s to me anyway, because the stuff that came out in 99, I don't know, 98, 99, it was okay. 2000s, I don't know. I wasn't really too happy with hip hop at that point, but that's okay. No big deal. Things happen. It's coming back around though, man. It's really coming back around.
2014. We called it the golden era, man. To us, I mean, everything for me from 92 to 97 was just amazing. And then, after Biggie and Tupac died, and I'm not just saying this because of them, but when they died, it was a momentum kind of fell off. And then, not to knock anybody for their hustle, what they're doing, but a lot of people just started throwing songs out. And for me, the way I judge a hip hop artist is you got to give me an album that I can listen to front to back. I don't want to just know that you got a great single. That's fine. That's cool for the club, but that doesn't make me a fan. But what really makes me a fan is when you give me an album that I can listen to front to back, and I almost listen to it like I'm watching a movie. I see the transitions, the song sequencing, the skits, everything kind of flows together naturally, and I walk away feeling full. And I feel between 92 and 97, people were doing that, Tribe Called Quest, Midnight Marauders, Notorious Big, Life After Death, and even the first album, Ready to Die, Nas, Illmatic, like you said, or Outkast, AT Aliens. That was one of my favorite albums. Even Sunday Playalistic was dope.
Most definitely, man. Most definitely.
There's so many artists in that mid-90s range that were doing it. But then when it, like you said, after 98, it started just becoming a singles market, man. And, that was cool, but it's kind of like McDonald's of music. It's like microwave music. It's no soul and passion in it. It's just throw it out, see if it sticks.
Man, for sure. And I think that's what, I feel 2014 is doing right now, which is trying to repair some of that, bringing back some of the original, lyricists, man, where it mattered what your lyrics actually said, man. You know what I mean? Where they actually had some substance in them, where you actually told a real story, You don't
have to be super conscious. You don't have to be, necessarily Tribe Called Quest or De La Soul or anything. But at the same time, at least give me some type of idea or subject matter that I can give me a story. Have a story with your music and tell me something about where you're from. Don't just shake that ass. Okay, that's cool, but how much can we do that? How much can we just watch women shake and throw money around, and do drugs? That gets boring.
Man.
What else
does.
do you add,
it does, man. Exactly. And that's what a few artists that I've actually had on the show have said, that they're actually trying to come with a concept. It's actually some type of purpose in the rhyme, and that's really what I love, and that's what really drives me to listen to hip hop nowadays, because there's actually messages within the lyrics. So this is going to bring us to
coming back, man. That Kendrick Lamar album was amazing. To hear a commercial album like that, to have that much substance, it really made me proud. I felt like you could have dropped that album in 96 and it still would have been hot.
Oh, it would have, man. Definitely.
Yeah.
But so that's gonna bring us to the end of the interview here. Thank you so much, Plex, man. You're an amazing dude. What I like to do here at the end is just let you plug away where everybody can check your stuff out, man. So just go ahead.
Cool. Like, yeah, you can search for me on iTunes. It's Plexlong, PLEXLONG. You can go to my SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/Plexlong. Like I said, PLEXLONG. Our YouTube page is YouTube/BlackBoxDMV. And Black Box is the label I'm on, and DMV stands for DC, Maryland, Virginia. That's the area where I grew up in, the DC area. So YouTube/BlackBoxDMV. You can hit me on Facebook. I have a regular Facebook. It's a personal Facebook. I accept my fan requests, and the Facebook name is Plexlong, Facebook.com/Plexlong, or you can do a search for my fan page that's up there. And that, again, is also Plexlong, so PLEXLONG. And just Google me, man. I'm all over the net or whatever, but really the YouTube page is where a lot of our stuff is, and a lot of people end up checking it out there. So, but get at me, that's the best way. Facebook is the best way to connect, to hit me directly if you guys want to talk to me or need any music or whatever.
Well, there you go, everybody. That's where you can find everything that has to do with Plexlong. If you ask me, you need to check him out right now. Get on Twitter. Go find Plexlong. Get on YouTube. Subscribe to his channel. Go to freaking SoundCloud. Check that out too. Check him out on iTunes. Support the artists that come here on the show. Definitely follow them on Twitter, Plexlong. And definitely follow the show at iNoslen Show. If you want to check me out, go to Noslen. That's NOSLEN 78. And you can find me there. And as always, check us out each and every Sunday at 1 p.m. for live interviews with some of the hottest artists in the indie movement here on iNoslen Radio. We'll catch you guys next week.